So now I want to really start focusing on how we can use images in our websites. And there are a couple of rules, specifically numbers, that we need to know to be able to get images to work properly on a website. So let's start with talking about image sizes. All images on a website should have a resolution of 72 or 96. That is the resolution for your computer monitor. Most are on either one of those. So the old number for computer monitors was all 72. There's still lots of computer monitors at 72. More recent ones are at 96. So that is going to be your image resolution. And then in general, you want to save 3 versions of your images. You want to save the original. Then you're going to make a version that is set up for the web. So if your original was not at that resolution, maybe it was an image that was set up for print, something you shot with your camera, a version that is larger and for the web, and we'll talk about those numbers, and then a thumbnail version, so one that's going to be a lot smaller, also set up for the web, meaning it has a resolution of 72 or 96. So let's jump over to Photoshop first and talk about where you go. I want to double check and make sure that everyone knows where they go to check for image resolution. So here's an image that is set up. It was something I took with my camera, so it's going to be set up with a higher resolution. But I can check that if I go up to image, image size. Here I see the resolution is set to 250. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off resample, and I'm going to change that resolution to 72 and click OK. So nothing looks different, but this image is now, I could put it on the web, but it is huge. So let's talk about file size. How do I know it's huge? It doesn't look that big. Well, one thing is, if I look at my tab, I see that I'm viewing this only at 16%. So that's something really important to look at. So if I click until this is 100%, I can see, oh yeah, this image is really big. When you put your images onto a website, they are at 100%. So it's really important when you're working with them in Photoshop, you are looking at them at 100%, so you can see how they'll look on the website. Now the next thing is I'm going to go to image size. And remember, when I had to change my resolution, I turned off resample. But now I'm going to turn resample back on, and I'm going to switch this to pixels because the web does not care about inches. It's all going to be about pixels. So this, I'm going to say, will be my large version. So what size should a large version be? Well, we want to look at to see, first of all, is this a horizontal or vertical? So which side is larger, our width or our height? My width is larger. And I'm going to put that at 900. I want to make sure that my dimensions are locked. So if this looks like an open link, click on it so that it also resized my height, and click OK. And I'm still viewing this at 100%. So I'm going to say, and this is a general guideline, that in terms of a large image, this would be as large as you'd want to go. So 900 pixels on whatever is the larger dimension, whether it's the width or the height. Now, let me show you a past student example of what I'm talking about when you would use this large image. This would not sit on your website. This would be something that we would click on. So if we had a thumbnail, we would click on it and then we would get the larger image. Okay, so this would, again, that large size is not something that I'd want sitting on the web page. That would be something that we would get only after clicking on a thumbnail. All right, so here's like another example. We have some smaller images, but we can click on them and then we get this larger image. All right, so now back over in Photoshop, I've made this larger image. Because this is a photo, I'm going to save it as a JPEG. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to save it on my computer. And I want to make sure I'm saving it in my folder. So I need to go and find my web art folder. And let's say this is a folder for, I will call it my photo doc project. But this would be the process for any project. And I'll make another folder and I'll call this one Images. And now I am ready. I will save it in here and I'm going to call it Gate Large because then I'm going to make a smaller version of it and hit save. It was as a JPEG and I'm okay with it being at high quality. Click OK. All right, so now I have this one. And now I'm going to make a smaller version so I can have that thumbnail. And so I'm going to go back up to Image, Image Size. Resolution is still good. I'm going to target my width, my height, and here you have a lot of play. It's up to you really how you want to design things, but typically thumbnails stay under 200 pixels. They could even be super tiny, just like 50 pixels. They don't even have to be the whole image. You could crop down part of the image. So I'm going to make my width 150 pixels, which brings my height to 100, and click OK. Again, I'm making sure I'm viewing this at 100%, and I'm okay with that image size. If I'm not okay with it, and I decided I actually want it to be larger, I'm not going to go back up to image size and add back pixels. I'm going to go to my history panel, and I'm going to step back. And then I could go back, because if you try to add back pixels, once you make something smaller, Photoshop throws away those pixels. If you try to go and add them back, it's going to be very pixelated. So you have to start back, go back to your original large one, and then make it smaller from there. So now I can say, all right, actually I want to see it at 200 pixels wide, and click OK, and decide maybe that's the image size I like. But again, if I decided that's still too small, I'm going to go into my history panel, step back to where I had last saved it as a large version, and then make it small. So now I'm going to do File, Save As again, and make sure I am in the right folder. I'm in my web design, I'm in my project folder, I'm in my images, and I'm going to call this one Gate Small, or sometimes I call it Thumb, and click on Save. And again, high is fine. So there we go. All right, so now back over to here. Your thumbnails would be anywhere from 50 to 200 pixels. That's flexible. They could be a little bit larger, but I'm just giving you some general numbers. What is a little bit more of a hard true number, that larger version. So when we're going to be talking about saving screen real estate, you put a small thumbnail on, you click on it, and you get that larger version. It needs to be large enough. It needs to be significantly larger than your thumbnail. So I'm saying a minimum of 500 pixels to a maximum of 900 pixels. Now, if your thumbnail is 500 pixels, then that larger version needs to be at least 900 pixels. So when we click on that thumbnail, you want to make sure that the image that we get here is significantly larger than what we saw on the page here. Because that's the whole point, is that we are saving screen real estate and we get to see it larger. And then as a review, photographs should be saved as a JPEG and high quality, as you saw me do. Graphics, so something that is just made, for example, through shapes in Illustrator or Photoshop, you want to save those as PNG or GIF files. And if you have an image that you need to preserve the transparency on, you would also use GIF or PNG, because JPEG does not preserve transparency. All right, so briefly, if let's say I was looking for images on the web, and let's say I want to do my project on the cure. So as you're looking for images, click on them and then look for, it's going to be different in different browsers, but approximately where it says the pixel size. So this number here, 1000 by 1000, that is pixels. All right, and so I've already copied this one over. Let's look at this one. I click on it. So this is actually 2000 by 1125. So that is humongous.
The J file.
All right, I wanted to actually just get the picture. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say copy image. I'm going to go to Photoshop, do File, New, take my clipboard, hit Create, and then I'm going to paste it in. All right, I see that this is at 50%. So that tells me already this image is way too large. So at this point, I should save this as my original. And then I'm going to go to Image, Image Size. I don't need to change the resolution. So I don't have to turn off resample. The resolution is already at 72. I do need to switch this to pixels. And now I'm going to reduce the larger dimension to 900 and click OK. Go to Save As. Now, this image is an illustration, so I could choose to save it in the PNG format, and that would be okay. So I'm going to call this one Smith Large and hit Save. And I'm okay with this large file. Click OK. I want to make sure I'm viewing this at 100%, so that's the size that I saved it. And then I would go back up to Image, Image Size, and I'm going to make my smaller size 200 pixels, for example, or my width. I'm going to make it smaller to 200 pixels. Click OK, and then save this as, again, another PNG. I want to make sure it's in the same format, and I'll call it Smith Small. Okay, but then I have some other images here. So this are ones I already copied. This was the larger one. Again, I see I'm viewing this at 66%, so that's too large. So I would go up to Image, Image Size. It's already at 72, so I can leave resample on. It's already in pixels. I'm going to, this is 900 by 900, or sorry, 1000 by 1000. So I'll make that 900 by 900. And again, you don't have to make it 900 by 900. It could be smaller than that. That's just giving you like some rough numbers. I'm going to save this. I think I could do this one as a PNG as well. PNG is a slightly smaller file size. And I'll call it like cover large. Click OK. And image, image size. I will make it, if these were all going to be on the same page, I definitely want to make sure they are all the same size. So that's now 200, and do File, Save As, and save it PNG. You get the idea. Cover small. All right. Now I haven't been saving these as my originals. So if you forgot to do that right in the beginning, so what you could do is go back through your history panel to that original state when you just pasted it in, and then do File, Save As. And if you've done any manipulation on it, obviously it would need to be saved as a Photoshop file. If not, I'm just going to save it as the PNG, and I'll call it Cover Original. Okay. All right, so that's everything for getting those ready for the web, and now I will next video I'll talk about some ideas for making rollovers.